Hi, my name is Lisa Carrick, and I'm a student in the Master's in Nutrition program at Bastyr. And right now you're getting passed around a little sample that we're going to get to a little bit later, so just hang tight with those. So we can spend a lot of time talking about food. And in particular, as individuals who are invested in their health and well-being, this time can really add up. So it may come as no surprise to you that I, as a future dietitian, would most definitely like to talk with you about food this evening. However, it might not be in the way that you expect. To begin with, I'd like to take you all back, way back, to first thing this morning when you woke up. I want you to try and recall how it was that you woke up. Was it your spouse? Was it kids? Was it by an alarm, perhaps? Did you feel rested, ready? Or were you tired, exhausted, annoyed? Now that we've gotten you up, hopefully, I'd like you to try and recall what it was that you first ate this morning. I want you to think about the foods, but more importantly, the overall experience of that first meal that you had. Were you maybe standing over the kitchen counter eating? Were you hunched over a laptop checking emails and eating? Were you maybe driving? We live in a culture that places a high value on high productivity, but this often means that our lives are full of multitasking. And when we multitask, pairing activities with eating, we become distracted from the actual experience of eating. There's a disconnect that happens. Can you maybe think of some times where you naturally might pair certain foods with certain activities? A really common one is maybe going to the movie theater and getting that big, large, buttery popcorn and eating all of it, even if you really know you're not hungry. This evening, I want to introduce you to the notion of mindful eating if you have not been introduced already. Has anyone heard of mindful eating before? Wonderful. Mindful eating, for those of you who haven't heard of it yet, is a practice of learning to be aware of our physical hunger and satiety, or feeling of fullness cues that our bodies are trying to give us in order to help guide our decisions to begin eating and also to stop. So research has shown that when people eat mindfully, two important things happen. The first is that less food is actually consumed, and the second is that the overall experience becomes enhanced. The actual act of eating becomes more enjoyable. And who doesn't want that, right? Now I'd like to invite you, we're gonna come back to those little cups that you have. I want to invite you to join me on an experiment in mindful eating. The purpose of this experiment is to really exaggerate the act of eating. Take it slowly, moment by moment, to check in with not only your thoughts and feelings around what's happening, but also those physical cues we were talking about. Your body trying to tell you if you're full, if you're starving, if you're just hungry. So to start, I'd like to invite you to first grab that cup you have and just simply look at it. What is it? Where did it come from? What is the journey that maybe it took to get to you where it is now from where it once was as a plant in the earth somewhere? How do you feel about eating it right now? Do you feel hungry? Do you feel full? I want to invite you to go ahead and bring it up to your nose and take a good smell. Can you detect any aromas? And now, if you feel comfortable doing so, I'd like to invite you all to go ahead and close your eyes and actually place that raisin in your mouth, but don't begin chewing it just yet. Simply be aware of the sensation of the raisin being in your mouth. Roll it around with your tongue from side to side. What is the texture like? Can you taste any flavors at all? Can you detect a temperature? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is there no temperature at all? Now I'd like to invite you to begin chewing, but very slowly, focusing on the food's taste, any flavors that might be coming out with each chew, how the texture might be changing with each chew. I want you to check in also with what thoughts or emotions you might be experiencing, trying to chew this slowly. Do you find you're aggravated or annoyed? Notice in the moment that you feel as if you want to swallow. Is the food still mostly whole, or does it feel like it's really well chewed? Resist the impulse to rush through this mouthful, or to swallow while the food still feels like it's mostly whole. Continue chewing. Before swallowing, ask yourself again, is this food well chewed, or is it still mostly whole? And does it taste different from when I started? Be aware of your intention to swallow, and now go ahead and please do so, taking note of all of the parts of your body that are participating in this process. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Now I'd like to invite you to reopen your eyes if you have not done so already. In closing, I'd like to invite you to revisit your breakfast tomorrow morning. I'd like to invite you to experiment with eating it more mindfully, seeing what your food really tastes like, how that might make you feel, and how that might affect your whole day. There's a handout available in your packet there that has some more resources if you're interested in learning more about mindful eating, as well as a guide to help you lead your own mindful eating experiments on your own at home, or possibly to share with a family member or a friend. I want to thank you for your time this evening and for being open and willing to try something new.